Jeff here. Welcome to my new segment, which I still don't have a name for it yet. I don't know if I'm calling it trainer to trainer or pro to pro or pro talk. I don't know. The whole purpose of this segment is to get pros together and to talk about a whole variety of topics to help educate you guys and offer some assistance for your care for your pets. And today I have with me Christine Sears, and Christine is a rep for HempWorx, which is one of the more prominent and trustworthy CBD oil companies. Welcome, Christine. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So, Christine's here to try to help, educate all of us on CBD oil, its use, how to administer, and we're going to talk about a few different topics, and hopefully we'll get you some information and clear up any confusion you may have, and then towards the end, we'll tell you where you can go get it. So, Christine, tell us just a little bit about yourself real quick, how you got into HempWorx and how you got onto this whole CBD oil thing.
My own journey. I have thyroid issue. I had been searching for holistic remedies aside from turmeric for anti-inflammatory, and just to get myself on a healthier basis. And I had tried very expensive CBDs. I've tried very cheap CBDs. This through HempWorx is the middle of the road, and it is one of the ones that I've noticed the biggest change with my blood work, with my levels for my thyroid. So I stuck with it, and my doctor had asked me what I was doing, told her, and she is now also a HempWorx person that will refer to her clients to use as well. She's on it herself as a thyroid patient, as a nurse practitioner, which I love. And my dogs are on it. I've got them on it as preventative. And I know I have some clients that are on it that have other issues that their dogs are having, diabetes, some cancers. It does help with training. It is not, we cannot say a cure by any means, as a disclaimer, but it does help. I have noticed it. My dog's behavior, I had a dog with fear issues, and along with training and with incorporation of the CBD helped tremendously. So from my own standpoint, finding that this has helped me the best, and keeping track of things, I have a journal. And in the very beginning, I kept a journal. It's under your tongue, so it's sublingual, very easy to even give to the dogs. And that started 2 years ago. I started taking it 3 years ago, but I became a rep a little later on down the road. So my mom is on it for her diabetes. My dad's on it for his COPD. There's a wide range. We all have a cannabinoidal system, from dogs, cats, horses, bunnies, humans. So whatever we're lacking in our cellular structure, the cannabinoid actually helps heal and repair it.
Okay, excellent. So give us a brief overview of CBD oil.
CBD is derived from the hemp plant, and the difference there is a hemp plant and a marijuana plant, and those are two different species. Our product only has 0.3% THC. You
basically get the benefits of smoking a joint without getting high.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
Right. Like the anti-inflammatory, anti-anxiety, all that kind of stuff.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. All right, cool.
They also have a completely free THC product for first responders, doctors, nurses who wanted to take the product but couldn't because of that just 3%. And then they get drug tested, it could populate into their blood work. So,
right. So they can't have any trace amounts in it at all, right? Okay.
Correct.
That's good to know.
Correct.
So obviously, I mean, you talked briefly about some of the CBD benefits for your own personal experiences, and I mean, I know just being a dog guy, and that's kind of how I got into it, was for using it on my dogs. I
Mm-hmm.
don't take it because I'm a recovering drug addict.
Okay.
And even though there's hardly any THC in it, I just mentally I couldn't bring myself to do it.
Right.
So even
Because you would
though,
feel like you were cheating.
yeah, like even yeah, I was a crackhead. Not that I was a
Oh, I'm
pothead, but
sorry.
yeah, no, it's all good. I speak openly about it, but I never could bring myself to it. So anytime I got a new product, I'd be like, honey, come here. My wife was the
I
guinea
need you
pig,
to try
so
something.
yeah, so she would
Yeah.
take it before the dogs. But at any rate, yeah, so I started giving it to the dogs. We had an older guy, he passed away last year, but it helped him in his geriatric years.
Yes.
And the one thing I've noticed, and you could probably attest to this, is I think people stop using it too soon because they think it's not working. And it's been my
Right.
experience that it doesn't cure a broken bone overnight. Like that's not what it, like my experience with it, especially with my own dogs, with the old guy, like if it took him 7 seconds to get up in the morning, when he was on the CBD oil, it took him 3 seconds.
Okay.
Like those are the subtle little improvements in life.
Right.
When he was out on a walk, during the latter part of his life, like he still had some giddy up left. He didn't wear out right away. His joints weren't, like you could just tell he wasn't in as much discomfort
Okay.
as when he wasn't on it. And then with
Right.
training, with all the behavior modification I do, I mean, I've helped dogs with separation anxiety. And again, it doesn't cure it. It's a supplement to a behavior modification protocol.
Right. It assists.
Right. I tell people, it's like if you're a lip reader and I put my paper over my mouth, you can't hear me. And if I take this down, you're like the person who's deaf and reading lips is still deaf, but now I could communicate with them.
Correct.
That's kind of how I tell people it works with dogs. It kind of takes that fog away.
Yep.
So you can affect some change. So
Well, that's why I tell people to keep a journal, because you start with so many drops, which there's a drop chart for the 250, the 500, and the 750 milligram. I started with the 250 with my 3 dogs and the dog treats, but having 3 dogs and the 250, the drop dose was really, it's more. So I gradually did the 500. Now they're up to the 750 because that's only 8 drops a day per 3 dogs. So it lasts me a little longer,
right.
but it's still cost effective.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a 60-day empty bottle, 100% money back guarantee, which is great. They also have a sample pack for $10.99 just to try it. But I tell everybody, you need to give it a little bit of time. It's got to get into your system. Start off with the recommended dose. And if you're not seeing any change in 3 to 4 days, start increasing by 2 to 3 drops a day until you get your desired effect. But keep track of it. I was on it for a month before I felt a difference, like a huge difference, from my brain fog to my achy joints to my memory recall, and tiredness. I wasn't sleeping. I had fatigue. And then by the 3rd month, when I went for my blood work, my numbers for my thyroid were in range.
Oh, wow.
And in 11 years out of 13, they were never in range.
That's excellent. That's great.
So that was huge.
That's great.
So, but there's no carrier oil in the HempWorx.
Talk a little bit about the carrier oils, because I know there's a lot of debate over, and obviously for people watching, we're not going to get into whose company is better. That's not the purpose here. We're just here to try to educate you guys. But I've noticed there's a lot of controversy. There's a lot of debate. And I mean, a lot of arguments. Frankly, what I see on their carrier oils, yes or no, and all that kind of stuff. So give us your take.
My take is that they're not necessary, because then you're paying for product that is half oil. And rather than getting the full dose, full spectrum, you're getting half. And it's vegetable oils, it's coconut oils, almond oils. Any kind of extra oil in it isn't necessary or needed.
So does that take away from the efficacy of the product getting into the system? or is it just waste?
I think both.
Okay.
My opinion, how I feel about it, since I've tried others. I've tried, HempWorx was the 7th product that I tried out of so many. And I was just looking, and I wasn't looking for like a diet pill that cured, because there isn't one of those either. But I noticed the biggest change with the HempWorx that I was on. And I gave everything 3 months of a chance to get into my system, and would get checked. And my numbers were never like they were on the HempWorx. So that's why I stuck with it. I did more information, background checking on it. And I contacted somebody that I bought it from. So she's my upline now. And I became a rep through her.
Cool.
So,
and another thing that I know a lot of people, there's some controversy over as far as the efficacy of administering CBD oil is broad spectrum versus full spectrum. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Full spectrum end of it. The full spectrum is all the cannabinoids that the hemp plant offers. So you've got your CBD, your CBG, and your CBN, and et cetera. Your broad spectrum is the same cannabinoids minus the THC. So in parentheses would be for people subject to drug testing, like nurses, pilots, law enforcement.
Right.
That's the difference.
Okay. So you're still getting the bulk of the plant without the trace elements of the THC.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. See, I thought the broad spectrum had most of the cannabinoids offered in the plant, and the full spectrum had all of them. But that makes more sense to me how you just explained it. So thank you.
And also, HempWorx uses the entire plant from leaf to stem to stalk.
Right. Whereas some people they'll use just the stem.
Correct.
And they could still get some cannabinoid levels on their testing.
Yep.
But it's not as effective as the complete plant, right?
Correct. Yep.
Gotcha. Well, on that topic, talk about third-party testing, because obviously you're with HempWorx, so you want people to buy HempWorx. But again, for the purpose of this, we want to educate people if they're doing their research. Talk about the importance of third-party testing and the company that they're researching, that they publish that stuff publicly, and why that's important.
The third-party testing is important for like all disclaimer stuff. And also making sure that there's nothing bad that is put into the product, and that everything is always up to snuff and at the same levels as the previous batches have been made. HempWorx is grown in Kentucky, and then it's sourced in Arizona and packaged in a clean, green environment. It's non-GMO, no testing on animals whatsoever.
And the third-party testing, it also will reveal if there's any like heavy metals or any kind of microscopic crap in there, right?
Correct. They check for all that, which is why it's grown where it's grown. So it's a field that never had anything grown previously that could have been contaminated with a GMO or any kind of pesticides. So everything is kept all natural. So it's all organic. That's the word I was looking for.
Right. Yeah, I mean, obviously organic is always better. So it's
and it's also gluten-free.
Okay.
So I know that's a big thing today as well with a lot of people. I know from cereals with Monsanto to whole wheat, a lot of people are having issues. And everything starts in your gut. So with the CBD oil, it's also pretty beneficial for your gut health as well.
And all right, well, on that topic, let's move to how to administer it, because obviously you mentioned you could put it under the tongue, which is sublingual, right? That's what that's considered, right? But we could also use it topically, right? People can use it topically.
There is a cream. There's a wrinkle cream. They came out with a lot of products last year. They came out with even more this year.
Obviously, I do a lot of dog stuff, almost all dog stuff on my YouTube channel. So I know my audience is probably more towards dogs, cats, animals, stuff like that. So I know, like, sometimes I would have just squirted it in my dog's mouth. Now, some people, they don't have dogs that are that compliant. So, so that's an issue. I've heard of some people like just squirting it, like putting a little dab of peanut butter on a plate and making like a little reservoir and just squirting it in there and making the dog lap it up. Is that something that you would suggest if they have a hard time?
You could put it on a dry piece of kibble and let it absorb.
Okay.
A biscuit. You could do a pill pocket and pour it in and seal it up.
Yeah. I actually did a video on that. I did a pill pocket video where I would squirt it and fill the pill pocket up, and I gave it to my old guy. So it's funny you said that. And one thing I want to, you mentioned biscuits, and this is just my opinion. I don't know if you agree with me, but I know a lot of people buy CBD biscuits out there, and like from pet stores and stuff. And my personal opinion is, if you're watching this, don't waste your money. Okay, you're spending a lot of money on a very, very small dose of CBD in each treat.
Correct.
You're better off, like what Christine just said, and what I've done with my guys. I take their dose, I soak it into a biscuit, and then I give them that biscuit. So they're actually getting their full dose for their body weight in that treat, as opposed to buying this $35 bag of treats that's going to last you a couple of days, and they're not even getting full doses.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
Well, you have to give them a lot of the cookies.
Yeah, right. Because it's like 3 milligrams in each treat, which, I mean, that's nothing. I mean, so.
That is supposed to be, like, if you just have one dog and you're doing the 250 milligram, and it's also bacon flavored, just so you know, because that's specifically made for animals. I just do the regular flavor with my dogs. And I have a medicine cup off of the like a Pepto-Bismol or NyQuil cap, and I'll take the eyedropper and I'll measure it. I'll do their drops into the little cup, and it's funny. I pick up the bottle and I shake it, and then I start to open it. And if they hear the eyedropper glass part hit the rim of they come running out of a dead sleep, almost, like the Saran, if I'm opening cold cuts or something. If they come, Da Vinci, my lab Dane, he will sit and he will drool until he gets his.
Oh, that's adorable.
He loves it.
I love it.
But they're so used to it now that they know if I'm sitting in the living room and if I grab the bottle off of the table, all 3 of them, they just come and they sit, and I do their drops, and each one gets their little cup, and they're happier. Especially, I have one that's deathly afraid of fireworks. So I'll double her dose around the 4th of July or graduation. And that's pretty much my fear guy. He's pretty much over his fear with everything, with his training and everything. I have 2 boys that are 8, and my female is 6. But she's been on it pretty much her whole life. And I just use it as prevention. If they get like a little fatty cyst, I'll put it on that. If they get a boo-boo on their paw, I'll put a drop or 2 on that. It's so good for so many things. I've got people with horses, they have their horses on it. And I know that's a big, and I've noticed and hearing more and more of horses having seizures. And I don't know whether it's coming from their food source, their hay, their water, or what have you. But
vaccines could be coming from.
Too many, in my opinion, too many of our animals, which back in the 70s, if you look back, they didn't have all these cancers, diabetes. They're dog foods that have high sugar content just from the carbohydrate, but it's not listed as an ingredient. So people, you don't know, and then that's why their dog's getting diabetes later on in life.
Yeah, it's amazing that all the advances we've had in healthcare, it's like prevention went out the window. Like it's, like what about promoting good living? I mean, it's crazy. I know Christine mentioned this early on, but anyone who's watching, disclaimer, CBD oil is, and Christine mentioned this, I just want to reiterate it again. It's not a cure-all, right? It's a supplement to promote health, right? It's a supplement to help manage symptoms while whether your animal's going through physical healing or emotional or behavior protocols. You know, CBD oil is a great supplement to any approach, you know, in those areas. So just keep that in mind. And if you guys are ever in doubt, obviously always consult your veterinarian, blah, 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 you know. Gotta say that, you know. I mean, you know,
I find within my animal community and all of my rescue people, my guys, they had their puppy boosters, their vaccinations, and then their booster. And when I was running a rescue, I always had their Bordetella up to date, but I never did their distemper every year or the DHPP every year. I'd never done the influenza. I don't do Lyme. I'd rather get guinea hens and put them in my yard.
There you go.
But you know, heart hard, I do minimal because I start that in late spring and into fall, and then I stop because it's New Jersey. We have cold months. I can't see overdosing them on vaccines every year.
Yeah, we could have, well, in fact, maybe I'll have you back. We can talk about that because everyone knows I'm not anti-vaccine. I am anti-over-vaccine. That's, you know, and that's the one thing I hate when people say, oh, you're an anti-vaxxer. No, I do believe that our dogs should be protected. But guess what? Yeah. If you give them one vaccine over 6 months of age, they're probably good for 7 years to life. That's what most people don't understand. So, but again, I don't want to get too caught up in that. We'll definitely dive off the deep end here, and we'll be on the phone for a couple of hours because I can go off the rails with this. But at any rate, and I'm sure I'll have Christine back on to talk more about CBD oil, to dive a little more in depth in this. But I did want her on when we talked about this, about getting this little video going. So, and I'll drop Christine's link right down here, so you can contact her.
And my Facebook page.
And yeah, and I'll put it in the description below so you guys will have that. And you know, obviously, you know, being a representative of a company, you know, Christine gets a small benefit for you from, you know, ordering from her, much like I get, you know, small commissions from my affiliates, you know, and it's just, I mean, it's, you know,
I try to do giveaways every month.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. It's, you know, I mean, it's so if you guys are ordering from somebody you don't know, now you know Christine, order from someone you do know.
Yeah, and it's /KRCERES.
Don't worry, I'll make sure I drop the correct one below. Well, listen, Christine, I really appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we'll have you on again in the near future.
It was a pleasure to see you.
Yeah, you too. And listen, guys, if this is your first time on my channel, take a peek around. If you like what you see, consider subscribing. You can stay up to date on dog training, dog care, dog health, dog nutrition, dog rescue, dog whatever. And we'll see you next time on my channel. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye, everybody.